Hmm. Salakia.
Okay, you got it, King.
All right. Hopefully everybody's having a good night. Hello, I'm Brother Hashar and Amar. Before I begin, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh Hashem, Hamashiach Yahweh, and double honors to the elders of HOI, Elder Sabak, Elder Torah, Elder Sabal, to Deacon Shabapar, and to Captain Ariala, and to all the senior men and men who was putting in this work. I'd like to say Shalom and Shalom, and to the sister Shamar. Um, so today's class is going to be, not too long today. It'll just be on as the topic says, we have truths and we have myths. And a lot of us, brothers and sisters, we love the myths, you know, like when you like Little Red Riding Hood, Sleeping Beauty. I mean, you go back to it, Sleeping Beauty was raped when she woke up and she had a whole bunch of kids, and her kids became cannibals. Like this is the story of that, you know. Little Red Riding Hood, she was eating limb from limb, but when you what they do is they mix in. Well, let me just give you guys a definition, but that was just a few, because those folk tales, and I learned this when I was stationed in Germany. Hansel and Gretel, they got all these pictures of all these like they have her Hansel and Gretel, and then the guy I forget his name, some Kraut. Kraut is short for sauerkraut, so we call them Krauts. Um, Basically, they have all those little folk tales all around Europe and stuff, but then they go into like the dark history of it, you know. And little children back then was considered adults, and they heard everything, so they moved just like us, and so they were engaged in a lot of things, kind of like the Americas. This is why they have your children in schools with opposite sexes. You have boys and girls going to school. What you think they're going to do by the time they're in the sixth, seventh grade? Because they watch parents and they watch TV and then they go to school and replicate what they see. This is why you need to be in your children's lives and teach them the difference between truth and myths. Ain't no bird in the bees. Come on now. So you have to teach them these things. So we're just going to jump on a couple topics and stuff. So again, talk to your children about truth and about myths. You know, some of these kids don't know no history about nothing. They don't know nothing about Native Americans, reservations, none of that stuff. So, like I say, we're going to talk about it. So we have truths and we have myths. So the definition of myth: a traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of a people or explaining some natural or social phenomenon, and typically involving supernatural beings or events. Now, you guys hear this definition. Define myth: a traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of a people or explaining some natural events. So, this is why it was very easy for people to believe in the book of Genesis that there was a snake and that this woman was talking to him and that there's an apple and they were the only people around. So she just happened to see this one dude who happened to be a talking snake. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. All right. And so the truth, the definition of truth, that which is true or in accordance with a fact or reality. Now they kind of the definitions kind of they don't sound the same, but they kind of overlapping. So it's very easy to believe in a myth than it is the truth. Because the truth is, like I said, it has facts in accordance, right, of reality. So you have to ask yourself, so, what is your reality? And the problem with a lot of our people is they're educated. So the Most High says something about that. Um, let's see. Let me get Shalakia. Let me get the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 12. Baba Kusha.
Call it again. Ecclesiasticus.
No, Ecclesiastes. Salaki.
Okay.
12, verse 12.
This is the book of Ecclesiastes 12, verse 12. When you got it, say con.
Good.
And further by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh.
Fine. So reading is okay, but when you have too many books, when you go to your library and you got a whole room full of books, right? Now, it said for the definition of truth, you guys can go to Oxford, okay, or definition of myth is a traditional story. So they basically taken a traditional story, Adam and Eve, right? Here's the definition of truth: that which is true or in accordance with a fact of reality. So what myth is doing is it's mixing everything up. You guys out here reading all these books, you have to have other books to back that up. Like the white guy who got thrown out of King James's party. I forget his name, but he got thrown out of his party. And as soon as King James died, he said he was a homosexual. Now, King James had a cousin. Him and his cousin was boys. You know how it is back in the day. You hang out with your cousin and stuff. Y'all did everything. And his cousin was his bodyguard. He tried to say his cousin was his boyfriend, you know, because how soon we forget. There was a lot of stuff going on in the 1600s, you know. There was something called Renaissance, right? And like I said, you have to be cognitive of these words. The Renaissance is like myth. It's the changing of stuff. Give me a second. Shalaki, sorry about that. I think my kid was in there having a party or something. Anyway, so you just have to be cognitive of of certain things. So when you're reading these books and you're getting an understanding, the same with the Bible, you have to buy other books because the truth is in other books. You know, you have to read these books to get to spit out the fat and eat the meat. Pause. Okay. So this is why one of the reasons why I wanted to have this class is to talk about a few subjects that people really misunderstand. So it goes back to the book of Genesis. If you think the book of Genesis is a myth, then you're really going to not really get the Bible. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be like, hold up, but there was a talking snake. Oh man, I ain't worrying about this thing. You know, you're like 15 years old and you seeing the world for what it is. You've never seen a talking snake. So now you're like, man, I don't know about this Christianity stuff, which is good, all praises, but it keeps you from believing the word because you think that Bible is myth, when in fact it's not. All right, so let me get let's go into it. So according to like I said earlier, this will be a short class today, but I want to touch on a few simple topics and that may be truth or myth. So let's talk about the big topic, and everybody always talks about this. All right, I ain't gonna go too in depth. We're just going to touch on a little bit. All right, so and what I'm going for is everyone says that there was no one else in the world. You know what I'm saying? Hold on for a second. Okay, Salaki. So everyone says that there was only three people in the world for the most part. It's like a 50-50. Because I ask people all the time. And, hey, so how many people was on the earth? Oh, it's just Adam, Eve, and the serpent, which is crazy because everybody say the serpent is a snake. But all right, fine. Three people. So they were the only ones on planet Earth. So all you have to do is go, but see, this is the problem. A myth, a traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of people. Once you hear that people were talking to snakes and biting apples, it's kind of throwing you off, because by that time you start to understand, you watch cartoons, you kind of see fake things. And now in today's reality, it's really hard to get somebody to understand that it was three people because you got the AI, you got all this stuff going on, right? So it's really hard to bring people in, but all you have to do is just read. So let me get the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 21. Baba Kusha.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 21. When you have it, say come.
Good.
And Yahweh created great whales and every living creature that moveth, with the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And Yahweh saw that it was good.
Fine. So he just read the book of Genesis, chapter 1. All right. Verse 21. Okay. Now, for those of you who don't know, that is the fifth day. Okay. So on the fifth day, he made let me see which day is that? Fourth day. Right. So that's the fifth day, okay? And let me find it. So that if you read verse 23, it'll let you know. Okay. So with that being said, um, that's what he did. All right. So in the evening of the morning of the word of the fifth day, okay. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creatures." Okay. And Shalakia. So and God created whales and every living creature that moveth. Okay. So that kind of debunks us being created after the dinosaurs. You know what I'm saying? Everybody say the dinosaurs were here, I don't know, 10,000 years before everybody. No, we all got here at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Let me get Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. Baba Kucha.
And this is verse 26, same chapter. And Yahweh said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
God. So we understand um what these 7 days are, right? So just real quick, Salakia. Let me get Second Peter's chapter 3, verse 8. So each day, it took 7 days, okay? Now, this is what days are according to Yahweh. So let me get the book of Second Peter, chapter 3, verse 8.
This
Baba
is the
Kasha.
book of Second Peter, chapter 3, verse 8. When you have it, say, come.
Come.
But, beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day.
God, the water. So understand that. So I ain't gonna go into how old the earth is. That's in Esdras and stuff like that. But basically, what we're trying to discuss this evening is we have truths and we have myths. Okay, the myth is it was only three people, but the truth is he created man in the image and likeness and let them have dominion over everything, right? So to get a little bit deeper, Salakia, give me a second. Let's go to verse 27.
Come,
Salakia,
verse.
book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 27.
Okay. You going back to Genesis.
Yeah, I'm
This,
sorry, my bad.
you good. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. When you have it, say, come.
Good.
So Yahweh created man in his image. In the image of Yahweh created he him. Male and female created he them.
God. So we see on the fifth day, he created man and woman. Okay. So we got scriptures to back that up. So according to Second Peter's, okay, chapter 3, verse 8. All right. Now, like I said, it's a simple breakdown. So this class, so like, if somebody got something? Okay. So this class is about truths and myths. Okay. So the myth is there was only three people, but the truth is what the Bible just said. Okay. He created man and woman. Okay. And it tells you this is the fifth day. So that means that's the 5,000th year. He created everything in 7 days, right? So that means for 2,000 years, it's only been three people wandering around. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I just wanted to touch on that. So the myth is that there was only three people, and one of these people was a snake. Some say he was a demon, whatever. All right. But I'm not going to get all into who the serpent is. Okay. But the main position that I'm standing on is that you have truths and you have myths. Now, when did this all start? This whole myth stuff. Okay. Um, Again, that's history. It goes back to these empires. So everybody just real quick, we have the first five empires, right? You have Egypt, you have the Babylonian, you have the Salakia, you had the Assyrians, you had the Egypt, you had the Assyrians, you had Babylonians, then you had the Medes and the Persians. Okay. All of these, go ahead. Oh, all of these kingdoms of all people, what they say melanin, okay, but we know it to be carbon, okay, or people of color. All right. So the first five empires of this world were the Egyptians, was the Assyrians, Babylonians, Medes, and the Persians. All right. And from what I know, the Medes were the people from Hawaii, the Japheth, those people. All right. And they were originally in Greece. So it kind of makes sense. Their original land was Greece. Okay. And the Grecians pushed them out, which would be the Greeks. Um what's his name? Alexander the Freak. His dad was a beast. All right. Man, having a brain fart. I know this dude's name. But anyway, his dad was crazy. So when you look at that, so those first five empires, then when the Greeks and then the Romans came, things started getting kind of crazy because white people started ruling. Okay. So again, this is where things get kind of tricky for people. So I just wanted to touch on that Genesis real quick because I'm just tired of everybody. Like you can't mess this up. I mean, the fifth day, man and woman was created. So that means for 2,000 years there was people. So if the math ain't mathing with how can it be three people and then he had Cain and Cain slayed Abel and then Cain went to a city. How could this have happened? Everybody has brain farts. So when I was a Christian, I was like, how did he? So he ran somewhere and had babies. We never asked it. You know why we never asked it? Because we got lost when they said it was a snake and this chick was talking to him and eating an apple. Like, what? None of that made sense. So you kind of like blank out and you just like, it's just like with anything. You just like, well, it's whatever. And that's what we call half truths. However, that's what we call a myth. Okay, so that is they always try to change up words and stuff. So that is a half truth when you actually look at it. Okay, a myth, a traditional story, especially one concerning the early history of a people or explaining some natural or social phenomena, and typically involving supernatural. So the supernatural would be this snake, and I've never even seen a snake near an apple tree. You know what I'm saying? I'm an outdoors dude, so none of that makes sense. I don't believe they have snake apples, snakes that eat apples. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong. So I may stand corrected. But the whole point is that you have truths and you have myths. So if you don't leave here today, you're going to know that people were created on the fifth day. Okay? A whole bunch of people. Did they walk out of the ocean? Huh? Did they have navels? These are conversations people want to hear. Oh, well, they walked out of this, and well, they did. The first people didn't have navels. Does it matter if they had navels or not? He created them. Then when they started popping out babies, those babies had navels. Like people just want to just go into things that really don't matter, you know? And that's the problem with our people. When we're trying to teach stuff, they want to question stuff. But when Esau teach stuff, oh yeah, that's yeah, I believe you. You know, like if I was Esau up here, we probably have 15,000 people listening to this class. But you know, it's a brother with some glasses and a beard. They like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. That dude barely made it out of high school. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, we gotta start researching. But if you read way too many books, Salakia, you read too many books and stuff like that, it'll make you weariness. Okay. As we stated in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 12. Okay. Just come get with your friendly neighborhood Israelite. We get you squared away, man. We give it to you in moderations. You know, we give it to you, give you what you need, you know. Like some of y'all was standing on the corner slinging that dope, you know what I'm saying? Or selling weed or whatever you was doing on the corner. Well, we can sell this word, but you get it for free. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna be, we're going to give you that good news. So again, truth versus myths. Okay. Like I said, I ain't gonna be too long, but just something for you guys to research. Because some of y'all on here probably like, man, it was people on the fifth day. Oh, I didn't know that. Man, that's crazy. It was a whole bunch of people on the fifth day, you know? So with that being said, when it says that he created man and woman, that should be enough right there. So no one should be asking, well, maybe it was this. And no, there was plenty of people here. He just chose Adam and Eve. Why did he choose them? Well, he took them from the lower nation and he just liked that brother. That's it. And the line goes on, right? You go in Book of Chronicles and you just find the line of everybody. So I'll leave that dead horse alone. So hopefully everybody got something from that. I ain't got too many topics today, but I do have I wanted to touch on um what the what's going on today and like the political world a little bit. So do we understand where the Republican Party come from and the Democrat, right? So this is the games they play with us. So the Democrat, okay, because people was asking me about the elephant and the donkey and stuff like that. All right, so we all know who Andrew Jackson is. The white guy that had that slave living in his wall, banging her out every night, banging all of them. Now, he had a whole bunch of slaves, but he had one particularly living in his wall. I can't make this up. This dude, she must have was Sunshine from Harlem Nights. He dug a hole in the wall. Wow, man. That was a side chick. I think he is. We can name Andrew Jackson, as the first dude to have a side chick because she lived right beside him. So if you got a chick living in your wall, then that's a side chick. My hat goes off. So anyway, but she was one of our sisters. But yeah, he dug a hole in the wall. He had her there with all the kids. I think it was just her. Um, but he was one of those white dudes that love sisters. They used to call him a jackass, right? So he thought it was funny, and it stuck. He used that as the donkey. So later that was the donkey. That was for the Democrats. And then the Republican with the elephant was, anybody that's been in the streets or anybody that's been in the military or anybody that's ever had to look down the barrel of a gun. What is the expression? The expression is, man, it's like seeing an elephant. Because when somebody's pointing a gun at you, the barrel looks so big. You're like, oh man, because all you know is death, right? You don't know this dude ain't got no bullets in the gun. It's a replica. Who knows? It can jam. There's so many things that can happen. But when you look down a barrel of a weapon, it's called seeing an elephant. And that's where that elephant comes from in public part. Now, there might be some other stuff out there, but according to that, that's it's truth. And then there's myths. Now, the actual parties, right? This goes back to the Romans. Now the Greeks was doing some things and stuff, but it's these brothers, right? Um, they called the Gracchi brothers. All right, Tiberius Gracchus and Gaius Gracchus. And these dudes were the nephews of what Africa is named after. Now, who was named after Africa? All right. Where did Africa come from? Came from this white dude. Now we get it. It was a fur, but once he conquered it, it's called the Punic Wars, okay? His name is Scipius Africanus. Those were his nephews or his grandkids. Sorry. Those are his grandkids. You know what I'm saying? So basically, these two brothers were the ones, Gracchi brothers, right? You guys can go to Wikipedia. There's a whole bunch of stuff on them. But basically, they started this whole Republican and Democrats things. And they started this by, like I say, they walk in two different doors and then they enter the same room. So you have truths and you have myths. So those of you who out there who are voting, if you're an Israelite, you ain't supposed to vote. We know that. Go back to Deuteronomy. Matter of fact, let's get it real quick. Salakia. See if I can find it real quick. Salakia. Mm. Just bear with me. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, maybe some of you did hear about the Gracchi brothers, but these guys were they were pretty crazy. And they were later killed. Okay. It's let me see. Deuteronomy 17 verse 15. Baba Kushah.
Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse 15, when you have it, say, Con.
God.
Con, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother.
All right. So that's self-explanatory. Okay.
Okay.
That's a truth. Okay. So when people say, oh, you Israelites don't vote, well, it's not a fellow Israelite. Donald Trump, what was that lady name? Kamala. She wasn't our people. Okay. She is what you call an Irish woman. Then you Google her and look at her lineage and everything. You know what I'm saying? Her great great grandfather was Irish. He was a slave owner. You know what I'm saying? And his son slept with some woman who was East Indian. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, she's East Indian. She ain't even got no Jamaican in her. You know what I'm saying? So um with that being said, there's no such thing as mixed or anything like that. We talked about that. So there ain't no such thing as mixed. You want to be mixed? Um, I don't know. Nobody can. Some people can tell maybe your dad's Italian and your mom is Puerto Rican or something like that. But that baby would be an Italian baby. There has to be. That's another thing with this whole truth and myth. Okay, there's no seed mixing. Nobody would be pure. It doesn't even make sense. You know, so everybody understands how things work. When a woman gets pregnant, she gives 23 chromosomes. He gives 23 chromosomes. Her blood never touches the baby. That's why you have a placenta. That's where it meets at and gives the child food. If her blood touches that child, guess what happens? The baby dies. So guess who child that is? Yeah, that's of course it has some of her traits and everything, but that is the father's lineage. It's somebody from his lineage, auntie, grandma, whoever, uncle, brother. You know what I'm saying? So again, when a woman gets pregnant, there's some women who get pregnant and the kids keep dying because they have this thing where as though their blood touches the child. So what they have to do is they take this medicine or something like that, and it helps them carry the baby. I forget what it's called. Some of y'all can Google it. But again, um, yes, when a woman gets pregnant, her blood does not touch the child. Truth or myth? Google it. Now there's things they're stating that yeah, they don't think it's like, well, how did the thing get blood in it? How did the baby get blood? They're trying to say sperm don't have no blood. Then some things say it does. It's truth and myth. You know, somebody can sell you, um, you know, anything. You know what I'm saying? They can just sell you a dream, but you guys, you have to get understanding. So, like this says, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose, one from among thy brethren. Okay, so we can vote. We can vote, but then you have to understand what's electoral and what's popular. It's right there in your face. It's right there in your face. You have popular or you have electoral, then you have popular. I mean, it's right there. You saw what happened with Bush and what's his name? And the guy that couldn't spell potato. He was what was that dude's name? He was Clinton's vice president. But him and Bush ran and he won. But then electoral votes gave it to Bush. He won the popular, I believe, that year. But my point is, you guys, if you're going to vote, even if you're not going to listen to us Israelites, it just tells you right there, you only can vote for your brethren. There was a black guy running. I forget the guy's name, but he was running. Did anybody vote for him? You know what I'm saying? So you guys got to stop. And when I say you guys, just everyone has to stop with this believing in everything you hear. Don't even believe everything I say. Research it. These guys are real. The Gracchi brothers, they are the progenitors of this Republican and Democrat. It's easy to woo people. The Romans were great at that. Why do you think the Colosseum and who was fighting in there? You saw that stupid movie Gladiator 2? That movie disgusted me. It was so disrespectful. If you know your history, it's so disrespectful. You know, and yeah, it was horrible. I wish Denzel wouldn't have took that part, but the movie was disgusting. You know, yeah, it was just horrible. He cut his hand off, and it was talking about Hannibal because Hannibal is from Carthage, Africa, and he kicked the Romans' butt. And he was the first dude to have a mixed army of different nationalities. So he went from Carthage, Africa, all the way to Spain, beat the hell out of them. He got his army. he was the one that had tanks, and those tanks were elephants. They never seen this. He went to Rome. He beat them up so bad that Rome, because Rome at that time, they had separated from west to east. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, Khan from Nina did. Yeah, that was crazy. That they put everybody in that area white. It was crazy. That movie was just horrible. And the disrespect they did to Hannibal. Arguments is, was he an Israelite or was he an African? The jury's out. I don't know. It might be maybe Elder Tarak can answer that. He's like really the big time historian. But yeah, I don't know. I think he is. I would say he is. He's a good fighter. People came around him and all that stuff, but yeah, he messed up wrong. He tore him up. And the Punic Wars, whatever, was Scipius, Scipio Africanus. He wanted to kill him in revenge of what Hannibal did to his dad. So anyway, that's the kind of zeal we need to have. Just like Scipio, he wanted revenge stuff, but we don't want revenge. We want the myth. We want the 40 acres and a mule. We want to forgive everybody. We want to get slapped on the left cheek and say, hey, slap me on the right. No, that's not what we're here for. We're here to wake our people up with the truth and tell them that they've been misguided with myths. And if we can continue to do that, wake everyone up, so you could get this good news, that'd be great. So again, you cannot vote unless it's for your brother. And so with these Gracchi brothers, what they was able to do, they was able to create a system of so-called Republican and Democrat to fool the people. And it worked. They were killed, they were martyred when they got killed and stuff like that, but it worked. And everyone adopted their philosophy and understanding. And this is where these parties come at. Because if we didn't have these Republicans and Democrats parties, think of how the United States would be. It would be kind of weird. So this is why this is like baby Rome. Like they do everything that Rome did, and they took stuff from the Egyptian culture. This is why you see black people always got to wear stuff. They got to say, what's that, Louis Vuitton and all this stuff, because we're very big on both kingdoms. But Northern Kingdom was the worst with the idolatry. They gotta have symbols and signs and stuff. They're bad about that. You remember when we was growing up, we had to have a shirt that had to say guess. You know, that's kind of before my time. I'm old, but it's kind of before my time. Now I ain't had no guess jeans, but it's kind of for my time. But my sister and all them used to have that, and I came around when cross colors came out and stonewash jeans and what they call them. We call them something. I don't know. It's like the things that you wear to come over. Anyway, so all that hammer pants, I ain't never wear none of those. If some of you brothers on here wore them, I don't know. No, but I never wore the hammer pants and stuff. But we like stuff on our shirts and pants and stuff like that. Remember they used to spray paint. We're very people that just love the symbolism and stuff like that. And this Bible is good for us, but it's also teaching our enemies how to get us because all they had to do was read this thing. I mean, it's in here to the T. It talks about smoking cigarettes. This ain't new. That's in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Got to pay attention. So basically, I just want to give a little hour class on just truths and myths, and we just have to realize that um a lot of these things were like made up. So I have a book and it talks about like origins and stuff like that, right? And one of the biggest ones that I believe is this whole April Fool's Day. All right. So it says here the most convincing historical evidence suggests that April Fooling originated in France under King Charles IX. All right. So throughout France in the early 16th century, okay, which is the 1500s, okay? New Year's Day was observed on March 25th. The celebrations, which included exchanging gifts, people would exchange gifts, terminating dinners, parties, all this stuff, right? However, in 1564, um, King Charles adopted the Gregorian calendar. Okay. And he said, let's you know what? I'm gonna make January 1st the new year. So this king did that. All right. So I ain't gonna keep reading it. But it goes to show you, some of these things are are myths. Okay. So that's a myth. But the people who said April Fool, they still celebrated it. And they was like, hey, April Fool, April Fools. And they were still out celebrating because some people ignored it. And then some people didn't care, you know? So like you have this holiday, what's the other one? It's the April Fools. Feel like it, give me a second. Oh, so people say God bless you. Here's the funny thing about that, right? So when I was a kid, I read this book and it was like Gesundheit, right? Which is German, God bless you, right? So it was Gesundheit. And there was Pope Gregory, this dude, the sixth, he started to say Gesundheit because it was the bubonic plague and it would give people hope. You know what I'm saying? And so he started that. Today, people think God bless you is in the Bible. Yes, you can say it, but some heathen started it. Now, do I say it anymore? I mean, people say it. I say thank you and stuff. There's nothing wrong if they say it. Who cares? However, it's not in the Bible to say God bless you because somebody sneezed. And also, it was believed that you had a demon in you when you sneezed. So that was another reason why I said it. So first you had a demon. No, first it was because of the plague. Then it was the demon. You know what I'm saying? So this is what it is. You said Ash Wednesday. Let me see if it has it in here. It might. Yeah, because this book has everything in here. Mm, that's a good one. Let me see. Let me see. Table calendar. Nah, it doesn't have that in here. It doesn't talk about that. Let me see. Nah, but it does talk about yeah, it does talk about like marriage customs and stuff like that. The wedding rings, wedding rings is from Egypt custom. You can give your sister a wedding ring, but it's from an Egyptian custom. All right. And basically, it was I think his name was Cyrus or Isis, one of them dudes, whichever one carried a staff with the snake that's biting each other, and that's where the wedding ring comes from. Then when the Romans did it, they used to carve the name of the woman in there and they put it on her. She was like a slave and all that other stuff. So none of this stuff is truth. All this is myths. It goes around with being things that other nations and people have made up. That's not a custom for the Hebrews. This whole spending $10,000 and do the honeymoon and stuff. It wasn't just like that was something that started, later on, um, in the Bible as we kept falling underneath different regimes or empires, we had to adjust to their customs. So when I was stationed in Germany and stuff, we there was German holidays. So the Germans that work for the Americans they would give us these holidays because it was their customs, right? So when it came to our holidays, they ain't following none of that and stuff like that. But their holidays, they was allowed not to work and stuff. So when you in, when they say when you in Rome, you do. So that's the thing, guys. There's truths and myths. We were brought here under our own, or we were brought here. We were forced here. We were forced to come here. Okay. And we were forced to be enslaved. And then we got freed. And then they was like, all right, well, you got to follow the laws and statutes of America, you know? And then they started throwing us in jail, making us slaves again. Then we got some smart people to do some things, but not putting this together. None of these brothers could put it. Now, some of these brothers put it together and they got rid of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, these dudes know who they are. I know. I'm sure there was people always trying to wake up, and the white man would always figure out how to get rid of them. You guys gotta understand. In these streets, there are called informants. Some of your family members are informants, and they in here, and they just linger around, and they hear stuff, and then the next thing you know, you wind up dead like Angie Stone. You know, um, they killed that sister, man. They killed her. She came on there. Brother RZA's talking about it. Even though he is Islam, it's a smart brother. Um, yeah, he put out her video about how they stole all her stuff, and she's fighting for it. And all of a sudden, she gets hit by an 18-wheeler or something like that, and she the only one to die. I mean, come on, you know. So, RIP to the sister. Hopefully, now she's dead. They're gonna take everything. Yeah, they're gonna take everything. It's gonna be a long, drawn out fight. I mean, that's what happened with Aretha Franklin. Uh, I think that might have ended a few years ago. What's the brother name? Nate Dogg. They just ended his like a year ago. Prince ended like maybe 2 years ago. Michael Jackson's ended. It's like everybody that died, they got all this money and stuff. They just magically don't have wills, or they don't have like appointing certain, yeah, a will or whatever. They don't have no type of. They just black. They don't know nothing. So if one of our black elites die, this brother don't know nothing about nothing. Then this is why you have truth and you have myths. You know, these were smart people. I'm sure they tied up everything, but somebody in their family was working for the man. Is the point? So there's always going to be someone who's watching you. That's why you got to be careful. You know, um, we're not afraid of anything. We don't fear nothing. But Yahweh, Ba'ashem Mashak Yahweh Shai, that's it. But there's truths and then there's myths. And we have to continue to challenge the myths. So again, we touched on a few subjects. Um, we all know about Christmas, like come on, but that April Fool thing is really big. Our people really believe that the end of the year is January, you know. The Gregorian calendar, that thing is wicked. You know what I'm saying? It's not good at all. But again, we try to follow these feast days. We try to follow the calendar to the best of our ability. Our elders, they put out a calendar every year. Elders about puts it out, and you purchase it. It shows you all the feast days, all the new moons, all that stuff. All right. So yeah, go ahead and make sure you guys purchase that. Just go HOI mustard seed or and find Elder Shabbat. I'm sure his email is down there somewhere, and you reach out to him and he'll get you those which is very important. I got to get mine. I'll probably get them probably sometime this week. I gotta get a couple calendars. So you guys that know when these feast days are coming up. And if you don't make it, that's fine. Just follow like I did for the first few years. I would follow the brothers on the YouTube, get the family all dressed up and watch us. You don't have to be part of HOI, guys. We would love to have you, but you don't have to be part of this. You can just watch it and follow it and teach your family. Everybody got their fringes. Don't take 9 years to wear the fringes, man. Like, stop playing. Don't nobody even see them. Everybody that see my fringes and Zeke's, they're freaking Jewish. Nobody else sees them. Dude robbed me the other day. Lift my Zeke up, go in my wallet. I'm lying. I'm joking. No filing. But no, real talk. Nobody sees these things. Okay. They just, whatever. They don't know what it is, until you explain it to them. And then the brother, he saw me. I was just in Philly the other day, and brother was there with his family. And he saw me and he was like, Shalom. I was like, oh, okay. Now he didn't have no Zeeks or anything on, so I couldn't identify the brother. But then I gave him, salute and everything. So this is why we wear these, guys, so we can recognize. And the number one reason why you don't want to be like that dude in the wilderness, all right? They be his butt. Okay. So put on your fringes, because when you're thinking about doing things, it actually works. It's just something about wearing them. I can't leave the house. My son, he can't, he's 8. Hold up. Hold that boy. Oh, he's 9. My bad. He just turned 9, so he can't go nowhere. Hey, Dad, well, man, I got my Zeeks on. I bought him a sweatsuit the other day, and he was like, oh, man, I forgot my Zeeks. I was like, yeah, we can't, because I didn't put the little holes on the side, so he could put his Zeeks on there. So, we all just gotta, in due time, we all gotta do better. But, there's certain brothers on here that makes all those things, and just try to your best to get them, but it will set you aside. It will set you aside, and you eventually start to converge. You know what I'm saying? And just like with any member, we used to have a uniform, and nobody wanted to salute the flag. You know, we would run when Reveille and all those flags would go up and stuff like that. So you got like taps is for late at night, right? Then you got Reveille, that's for the morning. I forget the other one for the evening. Retreat. So retreat is for about 5 o'clock, right? Reveille's in the morning. So we used to have to salute, and I used to go run in the barracks and stuff, right? I didn't want to do that. Then after like we get off work, I took that uniform off and I put on my civvies. We call it civilians. You just felt different. And then one day it just got me, I saw that flag and man, I was crying. I loved United States. I loved America. I was like, I'm dying for this. I was crazy out of my mind. Eventually, it will get you. No, I'm not like that no more. So don't be trying to clown me. But I see how it took some years, but after like 5 years, man, I was with it. I was with this. I was following that flag. That blood is on there. My grandfather and I ain't care. I want to kill for this country. So that's what we need in this truth. We need people who are willing to kill for this and die for this country. We need you here. But in order to get here, you gotta believe in the truth that we show you, and then you study. And then the myth is that all Israelites are bad and all this. No, we're not. We're human just like everybody else. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Israelite community right now. Okay. And all I have to say is brothers came in this very young. I came in this 40 years old. So if you came in this 16, 20, 25, hey, my hat goes off to you. Because guess what we were doing when we were 16, 20, 25? Nothing but dirt. So you can't just hang on brothers' shirt tails because they messed up. These dudes came in this very young. So the elder was very young when he came in this. And he's an older man now. All praise. This thing he had over 30 years of this. That's crazy to know someone that has that longevity in this truth. And what we were doing out here, nothing but tomfoolery and wickedness. And for some of these brothers to wake up young, you still got to give your hats off to them, you know. So again, I don't want to go much into it, but if the brothers repent, then leave them alone and just move on, So you have truth and you have myths. The Most High is going to judge us. Worry about your own stuff, Worry about your own stuff. Don't be casting stones at people and Look at yourself. Okay. So let me get one last scripture. Let me get John chapter 1, verse 14. Abakishai.
It is the book of John, chapter 1, and verse 13, you say, right?
Verse 14.
This is John, chapter 1, and verse 14. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth.
Time. So, you're talking about your Hashar and Hawa. So let's understand how this world was started, okay? And what Yahweh means and meant to us. We can't wait till the sky crack, okay? So it dwelt among us, okay? So this is why we make the decisions. So again, some of us just will never see the truth because it ain't for you. It's for you to wake up other people. Some of these 2/3 is for to wake up the 1/3. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I might fall off one day. Lord willing, I don't, but he might blind me and I'm supposed to bring somebody in here. And the next thing you know, my candle is out. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm in the strip club at 65. And I hate the strip club. I've never liked the strip club. But then all of a sudden my candle ain't lit no more. I don't know, I'm doing stuff and I don't have a wife no more, and I don't love my kid. Anything can happen, guys. So again, this class was on truths and myths. And the truth will set you free, but however come the myths will keep you chasing that tail. So like I said, I only brought out a few scriptures and touched on a couple topics that I think needed to be touched on, especially that Genesis one. I'm so tired of people saying it's only 3 people. Like, come on. So again, hopefully, this was edifying. And some of you brothers and sisters can research more. And like I said, we got a lot of videos on YouTube. They keep taking down the channels, but you can go in the archives and stuff like that and search. But um I know the mustard seed ones has a bunch of them on there as well. So let me get Ecclesiastes, Salakia. Let me get the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13 and 14. Baba Kushan.
This is Ecclesiastes 12, 13, and 14.
Uh,
When you have it, say, come.
uh,
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Yeah.
Salakia. So this is the whole duty. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Okay. So even if you don't have your fringes, you don't have your zeeks and stuff like that, fear God and keep his commandments. Now that is one of his commandments. So once you brothers and sisters, it's like anything. You don't want to go join the police and don't wear a uniform. Who the hell gonna know you're a cop? You know what I mean? So you don't want to go ahead and be a football player and don't have a helmet on or your pads and stuff, So with anything, with any servitude, anything you're a part of, you want to be a part of it fully. You don't want to be, hitting the throttle every now and then. So we don't expect you to go buy fringes right away. Okay. I woke up in 2016. I didn't put fringes on until 2020. You know what I'm saying? Why was that? Well, I was in California. Was I in California? I was in California. I was moving around a lot. And I couldn't find nobody to buy these things off of, But that's BS. I had the time. It just wasn't important, you know. That's all. It just wasn't important to me, I guess, And when I finally started wearing them in 2020, um, things started happening, and then I met up and I met some brothers from HOI because I was always following HOI. And then in 2021, imagine that a year later. So yeah, it took me like, yeah, because I woke up, yeah, July of 2016, and I had my son. He was like 6 months old. I was going back and forth to court. It was crazy. But all praises, got full custody and everything, which is phenomenal. I should be in the paper, you know, phenomenal. Like dad getting full custody of his child. Imagine that, right? And a boy. So with that being said, that was my walk. So again, guys, when you come into this truth, you got to do things in moderation. Okay, cut out the
All
pork.
praises. I got custody of both of mine.
All
I had
praises.
for both of mine for 10 years.
Kind.
All praises.
All praises. See, it's happening to more and more brothers. It's not the shout out to you women. Hey, ladies, you women did the best you can, and we love you, and we want you to keep raising these kids the best way you can. But please let these fathers into these children's lives. Put aside the pettiness. Now, if something crazy is going on, we get it. If you don't have no males in your family, we get it. But don't send dudes over. We all seen a thing on Facebook. The baby daddy went over, or her brother. I don't know if it's real or fake. The gunshot sound real. He went over there to handle her kid's father, and he's dead. So we ain't saying go out here and disrespect these women. But you guys, it's called co-parenting. It's not called yo parenting or when you feel like it's called co-parenting. And yes, there are some guys that's reciprocating it. There are some guys doing the same thing a woman is doing, not in large numbers, but it's happening. So let's set aside our differences, guys, because at the end of the day, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. Okay, and keeping his commandments is honoring the father, the mother, and for you women and fathers to stop getting divorced and all this other stuff. Raise these children, and again, if you can't do it together, co-parent. Don't worry about who he's sleeping with or who she's sleeping with. It ain't your business no more. Okay. Can you read verse 14, Baba Kushak?
Verse 14. For Yahweh shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
So we see that's happening all through Israel. We see that happening all through the world, guys. He will bring every work into judgment. Okay, so everything you do, you spitting in people drinks, that's your parents or your husband or your wife, or you just doing wicked things. You're cyberbullying people. That's funny, cyberbullying. But anyway, yeah, so we gotta do better. And we got to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments and do better. So again, today's topic was truth and myth. And the definitions were real quick. The definition of truth was that which is true or in accordance with fact or reality. And the definition of myth, a traditional story, and especially one concerning the early history of people. So a traditional story. So again, just be wary of when people talk to you or tell you certain things that you need to get the truth, not the story. Okay. You just need to get the truth. Let it all lay itself out. Okay. And stop following, certain, they'll be having these YouTubers that be telling the truth and then they kind of mix it up and stuff like that because they're Christians or they're Buddhists or they're Orthodox Jew or whatever. You got to understand, you got to get background. There's a brother I listen to. He's a preacher. Um, he's a very smart dude. He told me about the marriage certificates and stuff, but he believed heathens can get into to heaven, which they're gonna be there, but he's saying they're gonna be part of the chosen. It's like what to him sometime. Again, spit out the fat intake the meat. Pause. All right. So with that being said, anybody got any questions or anything? If not, I'm gonna wrap it up. And we do the Lord's Prayer in Paleo Hebrew. Everybody stand up, face the east. Okay. All right. All right. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kadash, Haya, Shamka, Aya, Malak Waka, Shalakia, Malak Waka, Daba, Basaya, Wanka, Haya, Ish, Barasata, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Nathan La Nawa, Lashim, Ka Yayim, Waslak Nawa, Shabakwa Nawa, Kaslak Nawa, Shabakwa Nawa, Wala the Bayam Anawa, Ba Nasawa, Abba, Hawasha Nawa, Ma Ra Kaya Laka, Hamalakwa, Wa Ha Aya, Wa Ha Tapa, La Ma Ayam, Aman. All right, let's do the Lord's Prayer. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 9. Okay. All right. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. All right. So without further ado, I wish everybody a good evening. Hopefully it was edifying. Like I say, and it's for you guys to just do some research too, so remember, there's truths and then there's myths. The myth is going to sound good, you know, it's going to sound real good, but then you need that truth, and you don't need to read many books, okay, to get some of that truth. Um, so again, we have so many different classes on HOI. All right. We have very, very intelligent brothers, amongst this camp and among other camps. Shout out to all the other camps and stuff like that. So you guys tune in. We thank you for coming and tuning in, get some edification. Um, just remember, there's truth and then there's myths. And with that being said, Shalom and Death to America.
Shalom, everyone.
Okay. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, King.
Shalom.